All right, Daniel Gallen, we just saw Penn State's Outback Bowl effort against Arkansas. Pretty interesting game for about 30 minutes. The final 30 minutes, not so interesting. 24-10. Penn State loses to conclude its season 7-6. What'd you think?
It was pretty much what I expected. I thought that Arkansas was going to run the ball, and I thought that Penn State was going to have trouble stopping it. And I think the biggest surprise was that it took Arkansas that long to start running the ball and start really committing to the ground game. I think it was in the second half, that third quarter, first drive, 7 plays, 75 yards, all on the ground. It looked easy. They made it look easy the rest of the way.
Yeah, and Penn State gave up a lot of rushing yards, but this was a team that did not have 6 defensive starters for the regular season. Tariq Castro-Fields was down here. He did not play in the game. They were just shorthanded. They had some guys had some really good games. Curtis Jacobs had a good game. Smith Gilbert had 3 sacks. Jair Brown had 2 interceptions. If not for those efforts, I think it could have been quite a bit worse. For me, I think if you're a Penn State fan, I would not get too worked up about what the defense did. To me, the problem is the offense. It's never really gotten better. Sean Clifford is coming back. I think he had one of probably his worst days this year. Parker Washington made some great catches. Keandre Lambert-Smith caught the touchdown pass, which was a busted play and a busted coverage. And really, without the busted coverage, Penn State doesn't score a touchdown in this game.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are going to be really fixated on the 361 rushing yards that Arkansas had. But when you look at the Penn State offense, there was no counter-punching. There was no, in the second half, there was no kind of sustained drives. It was maybe they get 1 first down, things would fall apart. And there are just a couple sequences where it was just short run, tempo, incompletion, 3rd and long, punt.
What a great atmosphere, though, for a game. If the Penn State fans who made the trip down here, the temperature was it was right around 80 degrees. This is a great environment. Both the Arkansas fans and the Penn State fans were fired up. I think most Penn State fans knew, though, after that first drive in the third quarter, it was going to be really tough. Just a couple of notes, Daniel, to go over with the Penn State fans. Sean Clifford left with 8.5 minutes to go. They put Christian Veilleux in. James Franklin said the medical staff would not clear. He was dealing with a medical issue yet again. It probably would not have mattered. Jair Brown only got cleared to play on Friday, or they would have been without yet another starter. Tariq Castro-Fields could not go. Any thoughts for you as far as notes you take away from this game?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing to take away is just the personnel that was on the field. And when you think about the defensive personnel, I think that in that first half, it looked like the normal Penn State defense pretty much, where they were bending and then Jair Brown gets an interception. They didn't break. But in the second half, that's when you see the difference between the starters, between a P.J. Mustafer, a Derek Tangelo, and then some of the guys behind them on the depth chart. So that's the big takeaway for me, along with the offense, which I think is...
Let's get to 2 fascinating things for storylines in this game. Now, look, I don't care what anyone says. James Franklin and Mike Yurcich, I don't think they were ever on the same page with regard to sticking with the running game. We saw it again today. Kevon Lee had his moments in this game. He only had 5 carries, averaging 8 yards per carry. And this is not the first time James Franklin has said, hey, we didn't run the ball enough or we gave up the run. This has happened 2 or 3 or 4 times. Mike Yurcich is the offensive coordinator. It's James Franklin's team. I think there's going to be a come-to-Jesus moment about the running game moving forward because they just become two-dimensional. They become one-dimensional too often. There, I got it out. I finally got it out. I think this is going to be something that's going to be addressed. They just cannot give up. Kevon Lee is a talented player. He impressed the Arkansas coach. The other thing is, what are they going to do with all the young quarterbacks in spring? I just think when it comes to Sean Clifford, they need to know what the young quarterbacks can do, and that's what spring's all about. Both the 2022 signees, Drew Aller and Bo Prabula, they're January enrollees. They need to find out more about Christian Veilleux. We've seen all we need to see, I think, about Sean Clifford. And I just think that the Penn State fan base is getting a little bit tired of seeing an offense that can't score 30 points a game.
Yeah, and with those young quarterbacks coming in, it makes it even more important that James Franklin and Mike Yurcich are on the same page, because you can't have those young guys coming in trying to learn the offense when they're stuck in something that might be dysfunctional, that there's not good communication, that there's not on the same page, because that'll hinder those guys' development. So I think over the next couple of months, the quarterback, no matter what, it's always the main topic of conversation. But I think over the course of the second half of this year, and now that we're going into the winter, we're going into the offseason, it's going to be even more, especially with Sean Clifford coming back for that 6th year. Who knows exactly what the dynamic will be? Who knows if Drew Aller is ready? It's a lot to think about.
So Penn State loses 24-10. One other number to focus on, because I guarantee you the fan base is focused on. James is under contract through 2031. Since the start of the 2020 season, Penn State and Franklin are 11-11.